All right, everybody, it's John and Troy with the Paranormal Task Force back again with another episode of our podcast, The Task Force Talk.
What's up, creepy crew? That I'm gonna workshop that one. We're gonna come up with something. Again, let's crowdsource it. You tell me, we'll figure it out. But I wanted to use today, given that it's the second episode of the podcast, to really kind of peel back the curtain on our fearless leader and the brains behind the whole operation, Mr. John, my dad. Now, I've known this man for my entire life, obviously. And even, you know what, Dad? Even I have questions.
Okay.
I've got questions, but you know what? We're going to take it. I got DMs from people asking me questions. And the thing that got me is I had a good, probably maybe 60-40 split. The 40% is oh, where'd you go? What'd you do? The 60% was almost always asking about you. Maybe it was 55, 40, and then 5% about Uncle Chris. But Uncle Chris is not with us today, so I'm going to get to those eventually. But yeah, I wanted to peel back the curtain, ask you some questions that I got from people that I know, random DMs that I got from people I don't know. Just happen to find me off task force stuff. So,
do I have to be honest?
I mean, most of it's not. It's mostly paranormal task force related. What do you have to be dishonest about what we're doing?
I'm just playing.
But yeah, I thought it'd be a good chance for you to talk to the people, for them to get to know you a little bit better, and kind of understand why we're even here.
All right.
If we want to get real existential about it, why are we even here, man?
We're hunting ghosts.
Yeah, that's true. We are hunting ghosts and I think we're having fun, right?
Oh, we're having a blast.
Yeah. All right.
Every location we go to is fun.
Yeah, I can't say that I've had a location that I didn't like, but I mean, hey, you know what? That leads perfectly into a question I was asked, which I think can go for both of us, but I want to hear it from you first. Out of all the locations we've investigated so far, and mind you, you've gone on more than I have, what location stands out to you the most as your favorite investigation we've done?
So far? I would have to say it would be a toss-up between the Queen Mary and Nevada State Prison.
Ah, okay.
Those are the two that stand out the most. Now, I will say, as far as is craziness, St. Albans. I want to revisit St. Albans because we had some really crazy stuff happen, and we were still, again, really green. St. Albans was the second investigation. So, I'd like to go back with all the experience and all the tools that we have now. I'd like to go back to St. Albans and revisit it and see what we could capture there, because there was some pretty crazy stuff.
Didn't your backpack get thrown off a chair or something there?
Yes, actually. We were in Jacob's room. If you go watch the episode, it's a crazy moment, but we were in Jacob's room, and outside the door in the hallway was a stool. We set our gear backpack on there. It had been sitting on that stool for 45 minutes. And through the portal box, we had a voice come through, and it was all "your mother," all crazy sounding. And then a couple minutes later, I heard the music box out in the hallway, and then the backpack comes flying off the stool and hits the ground. And it wasn't on camera because back then, again, we were still fresh. We didn't have all the static cams and stuff like that.
But you were still using the big camcorders too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And but you could hear it hit the ground like with force. Like it wasn't just, like I said, it sat there for 45 minutes and didn't move.
Well, it had a bunch of stuff in it too, right? It was like a heavy.
Yes. But it hit the floor super hard. You could hear it on the video. And I mean, you can see our reaction to it. That was a crazy moment. And then we had some interesting stuff down in the bowling alley at St. Albans. So, and that's a big place. We didn't even cover the whole thing.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that St. Albans is like really massive. So
yes, and
I
it's
think
like
that'd
a
be a
maze.
cool location to revisit.
It is like a maze in there.
Dude, you guys got lost on video.
Yeah. But so I mean I would see it's hard for me to point to one location, but I would say top 3 would be Queen Mary, Nevada State Prison, and St. Albans.
Not necessarily in a particular order, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I really enjoyed all 3 of those locations. I thought we had some really good stuff on there, and Mackey Mansion's up there too, because look at the evidence we caught that we didn't know we caught.
Yeah, right. Like, when we went back and we were doing the editing like we do, actually it was post the editing.
Yes,
well,
a viewer pointed it out.
Yeah. If you go on just any of our socials, there's a short everywhere from Mackey Mansion. Yeah. There's a doll winking at us in the doll room. And I mean, like, it just ain't right.
It wasn't our doll. It belonged to the location.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly the left eye clearly closes and then reopens at the same time. The spirit light that was on the dresser in front of her turns on. So,
right.
When you capture stuff like that, that makes a location stick out to you. So, it would really be a top 4 thing for me.
I mean, as far as Mackey Mansion goes, because we did the Hornet.
Yes.
And then I don't think I investigated with you for a little while after that, just because my schedule just didn't fit it in there,
Yeah, I don't think you came back until we did Mackey.
Not for a big investigation, for sure. Even if we did something smaller in the middle, I think Mackey Mansion was the next one that I was there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, jumping from the Hornet to that, I really liked the Hornet because I'm a local. So,
right.
I know the ship and I think it's very cool. But Mackey Mansion was felt like a totally different ball game with the kind of activity we were getting. And I mean, we're talking like as soon as we stepped in the doors,
Yeah. Like it was a feeling there.
We were getting set up. You remember? We were in the not even the parlor room. We were in the old mining office and we were getting set up and we heard like disembodied voices.
Yeah.
From
and
upstairs. We were like
upstairs.
Yeah, we were like, dude, what the heck is this? Right?
Yeah, I mean that place, yeah. And that's why I said, man, a lot of these locations are very interesting. Not only just the paranormal aspect of it, the history of the locations. And so there's a lot of locations that we've done that stick out in my mind. But there's some that just, I mean, I got attacked at the prison that, that is a whole nother story, but, and at the prison, we caught that black mist on camera.
Yeah. I remember, I know you were really on about the black mist for the longest.
I mean, so there's some locations that, but yeah, I would say my top ones in no particular order would be, Queen Mary, the prison, St. Albans, and Mackey Mansion would be in my top 4 as well.
Well, since we're talking about locations, there's so many locations we obviously haven't visited yet, but in time,
we'll a lot of locations.
But can you, maybe not a top 1, but could you give me like another top 3 of locations you want us to go to?
Penhurst.
Yep.
Waverly Hills. And probably, I'm trying to keep it to 3. I mean, I've got a list of like over 100 locations, but
it's true. He does. I've seen the doc.
Yeah. Penhurst, Waverly, and probably Ohio State Reformatory.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Um, in that same kind of vein, are there any locations that you're I don't want to necessarily say afraid to go to, maybe afraid to go to, but definitely like more hesitant or just you outright do not want to go to at all?
Pinhurst and the Sally House.
And that
Those,
just has to do with the amount and kinds of activity that have been recorded there in the past, I take it.
yeah. And, those are the two. I mean, obviously, eventually we're going to get there
Yeah.
to those locations and, we're going to investigate them. But if there were two that I'm on edge most about, those would probably be the two locations. Pinhurst, simply because of the sheer size of the place, not to mention the amount of activity there. You got to think of, all the pain and suffering that those walls hold, and just the hundreds or thousands of people that died at that location, under just, in my opinion, under distress. And that imprint, but it's just the sheer magnitude of the size of it and the amount of activity there, I think, is going to be challenging. And then as far as the Sally House, that's just sheer terrifying activity. I mean, when you've got a news channel doing a documentary, and the guy living in the house gets scratched on camera and the scratches form on camera, there's something really dark there. And so that, and how I am, I'm not out to mess with any dark entities.
Right.
But they're out there. So unfortunately, sometimes we're going to come across that. So,
I guess
um,
that's a risk we always take, right? Because
well, yeah, any of these locations, could have, dark energies, but those would be the two that I'm most leery about. But we'll be going and investigating them eventually. So,
we'll get there.
yeah.
And when we do, we will do our best to be prepared. I feel like every investigation is just building more
Yeah.
experience to get us ready for the for the major leagues, if you will.
Well, when we do, don't be surprised if I pee my pants on camera. I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
Okay, you know what? I actually have this question is from me. This is not from any of the like DMs or comments or anything that I pulled from, but you keep it pretty well together when we're investigating, especially when you compare it to like me and Uncle Chris, because like we'll be like, "Whoa, dude, what was that?" You know.
Well,
But
I have reactions, but I think I think the biggest part is I'm so focused on the investigation and trying to capture the evidence that I maybe it mutes my reactions a little bit. Um, I mean, I
well,
still verbally, oh my God, what was that? Or,
right.
but
What would you say has rattled your cage the most, though, on any of the investigations so far?
the attack at the prison.
Yeah, that one. I mean,
That was I mean, I was having trouble swallowing, I was having trouble breathing, I was having chest pain, I was feeling sick to my stomach. Um,
it's all
it was
there in the footage, you know.
Yeah, it was literally a moment where I didn't know what was happening. I was feeling confused and I had no control over what was happening. The only thing that I could think of is get out of the building. So that, I mean, as far as being rattled, that's probably the only time really that anything has rattled me to that extent, that made me question what we were doing.
I'm surprised it wasn't post Queen Mary, honestly.
Yeah. Well, that too, but I mean, you know, other than coming home sick, and I still believe something there had something to do with that.
Oh, so do I.
Um, but other than that, I mean, I didn't get attacked on the Queen Mary. Like,
Not in the same way, definitely not.
right. It wasn't like, I don't know, it was just different. I mean, I woke up and we left and I was sick. That was a little different, The prison was something was physically messing with me. And so, but I mean, we didn't end the investigation. We kept going. But that was probably the only time, like I said, that I felt like, what are we doing? Why am I doing this? So
For additional context on that Queen Mary moment, because none of that made it into the episode, we had actually, if you watch the first episode, we have cameras set up all over the task force mobile, if you will.
yeah.
And like we got a lot of footage of us driving from Vegas to Long Beach to
Yeah.
get there. The plan was to do like a little almost like pseudo recap episode on the way back, but we woke up the day after the investigation and dad was like down for the count. He was not feeling good. So we did not really film anything. That's why there is the episode just kind of ends with us on the boat, more or less. But
Well, and the strange thing about that was the symptoms I had. I mean, it was chest congestion. It was like pneumonia. That's what it felt like. And if
and we
you
got
remember,
yeah,
the first thing that came out of the spirit chat when I turned it on, the first word we got was pneumonia.
right.
Uh, yeah. I mean, take that make of that what you will, but I have strong feelings that the two are correlated.
Well, and I'd spent the whole week with him prior to that, and we we were fine for a whole week. We were fine when we got to the Queen Mary. We were fine through the whole investigation. We go to bed, we wake up, and he's like, you could see it. As soon as I
Yeah.
woke up, I look at him and he's just like miserable looking.
Yeah. Well, and what's strange is watching back the episodes, you could hear it progress through the episodes. My cough started getting worse. So it was progressing, but then it was that next morning is when it hit me like a ton of bricks.
I think I just didn't notice it because, like you were saying earlier, you get on the investigation, you're so focused on getting evidence and making sure you get all this stuff that it's kind of like you kind of start getting tunnel vision on certain things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of location talk. This was supposed to be a peeling back the curtain on you, not the locations. So the number one question, it was both the first question I got as well as probably the one I've received the most, is why why is your dad so fascinated with the paranormal? Where did this start? Like what's the deal with that, you know?
Well, for me, um, I'd have to say my interest in it started back in, mm, I can't remember if that was high school or junior high school. But anyway, I had a friend at the time that lived across the street from me. And I had actually just gotten back from a California trip during the summer. And when I got back, I was told that something had happened at my friend's house that day. And come to find out, his dad passed away. Um, And I don't remember how everything transpired, but anyway, that night, the night that his dad passed away, I ended up staying. Oops, sorry, rattled. I hit my desk and my whole camera shook. But I don't remember how it all transpired, but the night that his dad passed away, I stayed at his house with him. His mom was at the hospital or with family or something like that, and so it was just me and him in the house, and I was sleeping in the guest room, which was right next to his bedroom, which was across the hall from his parents' bedroom. And I don't know. I guess it was probably about 2 a.m. I woke up and I heard my friend in his room talking, like having a conversation. I got up and I walked in there to check on him. And he was sitting up in his bed, looking at the foot of his bed, and he was having a conversation. And I was like, dude, who are you talking to? And he's like, I'm talking to my dad. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, my dad, he's standing right there at the end of my bed. You don't see him? And there was nobody there. And I was like, no, I don't see him. And he's like, he's right there, dude. He's telling me that, everything's going to be okay. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to go back to bed. And I went back and laid in the bed, and I was laid on my left side facing the door. And it was probably about 20 minutes later, but I saw the silhouette of his dad walk past my door and into his parents' bedroom. And that was the start of my journey. There was no explanation for it. I knew what I saw, and it scared me to death. But that's what got me interested. I want to find out more and dig deeper and find out, and capture evidence of basically something like I experienced, to share with people so they can see that this exists, that there is this life after death, so to speak, and that there is, spirits among us. And yeah, that's where it started for me, man. It was a crazy experience. It was terrifying at the time. But it piqued my interest, and so then of course, I started reading about, the paranormal. I started watching everything I could watch on the paranormal, different documentaries and this and that. And I really wanted to get into it myself for the longest time. I just didn't know where to start. Where do you get the equipment? Where do you, how do you contact these locations? How do you get these locations? So once I figured all that out, it's been game on since.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, but yeah, that's where it started for me, man. I was probably 14 or 15 when that happened.
I don't think I've heard that one before. That's pretty nuts.
I don't really talk about it much. Mainly because, when you tell a story like that, people think you're crazy. I mean, when we talk about things we experience on investigations, you get those people that, oh no, it had to be this, or you're just crazy or whatever. So it's not something that I really talk about much, but that was my first paranormal experience.
Man, you hit all my sub questions on that one too. Well, I don't know how we're gonna top that. That was a big pulling back the curtain, but
Yeah.
I did have people messaging me asking me when I decided to start the task force, and I'm like, okay, hold on, no, that's incorrect. But I did want to ask you when you decided this was actually going to be a thing, because my introduction to all this was, I mean, we talked about it last week. You just hit me up out the blue and said, "Hey, I'm in California. We're going on the ghost ship. Let's go." And I was like, "All right, sure."
Well, like I said, I mean, for me, once I figured out, where I could get these tools that I seen other investigators using, and I started acquiring different tools, and then I researched and was like, how do I get into some of these locations, some of these haunted locations that these people are going to? And I figured that out. Once those two pieces of the puzzle were in place, that was it. It was like, okay, I'm starting this thing. We're gonna start a YouTube. We're gonna go around and we're gonna investigate these locations. We're gonna see what we can find, if anything. See what kind of experiences we can have. And that's where the task force began. That's just, you know, um I had brought it up to Chris and was like, hey, I'm wanting to do this, and he was interested in it. And then since we were going to do the Hornet, I was like, well, let's get Troy because we could use another person with us. And then once you went and took an interest in it, everything just kind of snowballed. Now you got, me, you, and Chris, and that's the team.
That's the task force.
Yeah, I mean, I've got other people that have been on some of the investigations, but I don't think they necessarily take as big of an interest in it, so they're not really like an official member of the force. But I mean, yeah, that's where it all started, man. And from there it was just a matter of me constantly trying to figure out, okay, when am I scheduling the next one? When, who can go with me? And it's just been a snowball effect.
Well, it's definitely been keeping you busy.
Yeah, between yeah, I'd say so. Because there's a lot more than just going out and investigating. I mean, we don't have a team of editors. We do the editing. We do all the promotion. We do all the social media. You know, some of these bigger teams, or I won't even say bigger teams or two people, but bigger channels. They've got a team of editors and stuff that edit the videos, and I mean, that's great. I mean, good for them. They've made it, and they're able to have that convenience to where all they really have to do is go out and investigate, and that would be great. I mean, because that's the part I enjoy. um but we do everything from start to finish. We do the investigation, we do the editing, we do all the social media, um we got to get the merch store going. I mean, this is all, yeah, where you see me at right now, this is where I am 90% of my life right now.
The is it the whole thing is a labor of love for sure.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
I
on
there's no
all
way,
ends.
like, if I didn't have a deep interest in this field, I would have been done with it already. This would have been a hobby that I was over and done with. But um because of the deep interest I have, it's I keep going. Even though it's so much work and so much time, it's something that I have a passion for, and it's I choose to do it.
Yeah, I mean, to your credit, because we talked about, like, we do all the editing here. I think the editing has gotten from the Hornet to now just leagues better than where we started. And I think we started off in a pretty good spot, all things considered, but you know, it's
Well,
just
the thing too with the editing is I never went to school for video editing or film studies or any of that. I mean, everything that you guys see in the product is all self-taught, and that's why the editing, yeah, I think from the Hornet to now, the editing is so much better because I've learned things within the editing program, and I've learned how to do different things. But that's just from getting in there and being so interested in it, wanting to put these videos out. and learning the editing program that, you know, the editing has improved and it will continue to improve. I mean, there's still, you know, I mean, we're not, you know, professionally Hollywood edited. I mean,
We're not even professional ghost hunters.
yeah, I mean, and yeah, I said that last week. I don't
Yeah.
claim to be a professional. I'm somebody that had an experience, that took an interest in this, that is out there trying to show other people that this exists. So I don't claim to be a professional. I'm not a, you know, I'm not a psychic medium. I'm not a demonologist. I'm not any of that. I'm a regular guy that is interested in the paranormal, that goes to these locations and brings you the videos of our investigations, and then you can take of that what you will. I mean, I know some of the experiences we've had at these locations um, that can't be conveyed on film. And I know that we've captured evidence that's unexplainable. Now, whether or not you're one of those people that fall on the side of the fence that there's some other explanation for it, or whether you're one that falls on the side of the fence that says, okay, that's definitely paranormal, there's definitely evidence that we've captured that's unexplainable.
Yeah.
Perfect example would have been that doll at Mackey Mansion winking her eye as the spirit light turned on.
Okay, so my favorite part about that moment in particular is that evidence was found by a viewer
Yeah.
while I was staying at Dad's. It was like I think it was the day before we were supposed to leave for the Queen Mary.
Yeah.
I think we were going to a Knights game that day, right? Golden Knights game?
I believe so.
Yeah, so I'm getting ready in the morning. Like I'm in the shower and I get out the shower and the bathroom's like next to the living room, right? I get out, I can hear him in the living room. No way! No way! And he just keeps saying no way over and over again. And I'm like, okay, what could this possibly be about? You know, I thought maybe it was like UFC or something, like someone got hurt, we were gonna miss a title fight or whatever. So I get out, I get dressed, and I go in the living room, and he on his big TV, he's like, dude, you gotta watch this. And he shows me the video, and I'm thinking, like, what could it be? I never expected the doll winking. That's seriously one of the craziest things I think we've ever caught.
It
Like,
was that was crazy, man. And that's why I'm saying, like, we were there. The doll belongs to the property.
belongs to Mackie. Didn't you send the video to Don?
Not yet. I need to.
Okay. Yeah.
But the doll belongs to them. The only thing that was ours that was involved in that was the spirit light, which was sitting there off. And then you had, as soon as the doll started to wink, the spirit light kicked on, and on video you see her close her eye, just the one eye, and then it opens back up. Now,
and it's very deliberate. It's slow.
And yes, and not to mention, even if I don't know what kind of doll it is, but even if she was one of those dolls that, you know, closes the eyes when you lay them down, she was standing up on the dresser.
Yeah. I think, okay, you know what? I think we'll just throw that footage at the end of the podcast in post.
Yeah.
That way everyone will see it, so that we're not just ranting about something that you're going to have to go find. We'll just drop it at the end. But
yeah,
since we're talking about that, that's one of my favorite moments. I have been asked a lot what my favorite moment investigating was. I want to hear from you because I'm still having a hard time picking mine, but I think I have it locked in.
Man,
you can feel free to do a top 3 or a top 5 too, because I know you've got a lot.
yeah, that's really tough. I mean, we talked about it in last week's video, that the evidence on the Hornet that we weren't able to capture, which was the whistling and the walking through the hall.
Mm-hmm.
What an experience. Like, we know what we just experienced. That was absolutely insane. the black mist at Nevada State Prison. What an awesome catch on video. The doll winking at Mackey Mansion. You know, we had man, and then we had stuff on the Queen Mary, like all the activity that was going on in the room while we were out of the room. Like,
Yeah.
you know, then like I said, at St. Albans, there was the, you know, the backpack getting thrown off the stool after it sat there for 45 minutes. Like, I don't know. It's so hard to pick any
one thing.
any one thing because there's been so many, you know? And yeah, that's a tough one. Because like I said, there's been so much at each location. And then like I said, it's not even all stuff that's captured on video. It's things that I mean, I'll give you a good example. Me and Chris, when he was here, we went to the Haunted Museum here in Vegas. And I got
Museum?
pushed. Yeah, I got
Oh,
pushed.
yeah.
I mean, from what pushed me? Like, I got pushed in the back.
I don't know what it is about you going to that museum. For the amount of times you've gone there, like, I can think of at least 2 times something bad has happened to you.
Well, look, I got pushed so hard. I got pushed into okay, so I was in the room and I got pushed out the doorway into Chris, who was standing like 5 feet outside the door.
Yeah, then he turned around and was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, he turned around. He's like, man, what, you okay? Like, I mean, I got pushed very, very hard and I felt it on my back. And oh, I just did something. My camera's going to start.
You did hand motions again.
Yeah, hold on.
While he fixes the camera, let me just state for the record.
Okay, we're good.
Dad's a pretty big dude, so you have to push him with force if you want him to go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and I, like I said, I felt the force in my back when I got pushed. So I had that. That wasn't on an investigation. That was just visiting the Haunted Museum. Then the time I took you and
yeah, my first trip.
Yeah, we viewed the Demon House room and as we were leaving the room, I was saying my eye was hurting. By the time we got to the car, my eye was red and almost swollen shut. And it stayed like that for almost a week.
And I thought he got like dust or something in his eye. I just thought he had something in his eye. I was visiting Vegas with a friend and he dropped us back off at the hotel post Haunted Museum. And, you know, we're just going about our day. We had gone up and down the strip. We were going to like Fat Tuesdays and whatnot. We get back to the room and I notice, oh, I have a message and it's from Dad. And it's just a picture of his eye. And he's like, I told you something got me.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was very bad.
I mean, so yeah, it's hard to pick like things from our investigations because, you know, there's a lot of experiences that we have that aren't necessarily caught while we're filming.
Yeah.
And
that's definitely true.
So yeah, but I don't know. There's so many. I don't have just one answer for that.
I mean, it sucks that like so much. I think a lot of my favorite moments were the ones that we couldn't capture on camera for one reason or another, you know? As much as I hate to say it, I think my favorite one right this second was the isolation ward.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like your experience down there. I mean,
that was you know, I'm not going to say I don't get like a little shaken up when we do our investigations, but normally like it might just be like a, huh, what was that? Or a, huh, you know, just a little, like almost like a jump scare. That one actually like shook me to my core because I never had anything before that outright tell me you're not safe. You know, that was not cool. It was cool from a certain perspective.
And that's what I'm saying, man. Like there's so many different experiences that we've had on these investigations that I really can't like pick even a top 3 just
Yeah.
because it's a lot of them stick out in my mind.
I'm looking forward to whatever we do next just because I the experiences that we get to have at these places, even when what you might see in the video looks like, oh, that wasn't that crazy compared to like the Queen Mary or Mackey Mansion or something.
Mhm.
Even when we don't get a crazy amount of activity or it doesn't seem like it, the little things that we get, I think a lot of it is the little things
Yeah.
are really just crazy. And, we'll talk about it. We'll have like a conference call with us two and Uncle Chris, and all we'll talk about is investigations and what happened. We barely talk
Well,
about real life anymore.
look at what happened during the Halloween live. I mean, that was just insane.
Yeah. I'm glad you had the idea to put everything together and just see what happened.
Yeah,
I'm
I
glad it
mean,
didn't end worse for us.
yeah. But I mean, that was just crazy. Like, it's stuff like that. And, you know, even when things on the video seem to be quiet and something happens and it might seem minor, it's you got to remember it's not just a device going off. It's the entire feeling that comes over the room when that happens. So
Right.
it's not like, oh, the REM pod went off. It's okay, the REM pod just went off and it just got 10 degrees colder in here. Like there's an energy shift that goes along with it that makes it an overall experience versus just going, oh, REM pod, you know. So yeah, and until somebody's done this and experienced it, it's hard to really understand what you feel when these things happen.
You actually gave me a perfect segue into the next question with that.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and answer it for myself, but then I want to hear from you about it. I've been asked several times what the most difficult part of doing an investigation is. And I had to think about it for a little while because, we had like the Hornet where it was hard to move around the place, like it was physically taxing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, there's a level of mental exhaustion that comes with it too, because there's just certain things when you get to a point where you can't continue to explain what's happening. And also because we're usually up until like 5 in the morning doing an investigation, there's a certain level of mental taxation that comes with it. But I think for me, the hardest part about doing an investigation is trying to convey to an audience like what Dad was just saying. It's not just, oh, hey, the REM pod's going off. There's so many little intangible things that we
Mm-hmm.
can't put on camera. Like, there's things that you feel that you shouldn't be feeling because it doesn't make sense. It's like when Uncle Chris had his ear blown on. Nothing was there
Right.
to blow on his ear. There was no ventilation. There was no air coming in or out. It's like when Dad was attacked at the prison. There's what's attacking him? He's sitting at a table by himself. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's no reason for that. It's just all these little things. When we were on the Queen Mary, we had the Solus running, and we had it was like what, a 14-degree spike in temperature, something like that.
18 degrees.
18 degrees. That's not normal. But also, how do we show that on camera? We're not going to just leave a camera on the Solus so that all you guys are watching is a thermometer. That's no fun. That's not fun
Right.
for us. That's not fun for you. But yeah, I think that's the most difficult part is
I
trying to convey those.
I agree with that. And that's definitely one of the biggest challenges. Um, Honestly, one of the biggest challenges for me personally, because I'm so old, is staying up. Like as late as we stay up to investigate, that is a challenge for me.
Well,
You
you
know, for
also are a very early riser, and
yes.
you have an early bedtime too.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. For me, my everyday life is I'm usually asleep no later than 10 p.m.
It's
and then
usually
I'm
like
up
9.
and then I'm up at, 4 or 5 in the morning and I'm getting my day started. I'm in here in the studio working at, 5 a.m. Um that's my everyday. And then when we go and investigate and we're having to stay up till the time that I normally get up in the morning to start my day, that's a challenge, And it does take me after we investigate it, it takes me a couple of days to recuperate and get back to feeling normal. And I know
There's
some people refer to it as the paranormal hangover, and I guess you could call it that because that is what it feels like. But that's probably one of the biggest challenges for me is the times that we investigate.
I mean, there's definitely a recovery period afterwards, but
Yeah.
like to put
Especially when you come home sick.
yeah, to put the time thing into perspective too, because we were driving down to the Queen Mary the day of the investigation,
Mm-hmm.
we left Vegas at what, 6:45 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So we did stay up almost a full 24 hours between, like, well, actually no, because we left at about 6:45, so we had to have woken up about 6. So I think if you want to count travel time, that whole investigation was in the realm of about 22 to 23 hours.
Yeah. And when you get my age, that's not easy.
Dude, when you get my age, it's not easy. Like,
So
you rely on the 5-hour energy drinks. I'll just pull up with like 2 ghosts or 2 monsters or something, and then just kind of
yeah.
space it out throughout the night where I need them. And even then, I think we have, obviously didn't make the episode, but I think we have the raw footage somewhere. You could see me on the couch on the Queen Mary in front of the B340 mirror, kind of like nodding off while I'm holding the camera.
Well, we've all done that. There's an episode that hasn't been edited yet that me and Chris did, and he was under the Estes and I dozed off.
It's brutal.
And
It really is.
and it will and it'll make the episode because I want to see if people can figure out where I dozed off.
Okay, yeah. I'll play that game too. I want to see that.
But
I'll try
yeah,
to pick it out during the editing.
so it gets challenging. But yeah, the conveying the feelings is one of the toughest things. And then, like I said, for me, it's the hours. You know,
Yeah, talk about a graveyard shift.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I feel like I don't think I'm as bothered by the hours until we get to the end of the investigation, because I feel like I'm so amped up. Like when stuff is happening,
yeah.
like when we're getting activity, I'm so amped up that like I'm in it, and then as soon as like the activity dies down and we're kind of like packing up, I crash hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a little lightning round one for you now.
Oh
Something
boy.
quick and easy. Top 5 favorite pieces of equipment.
Oh, I'd say the music box. Um Man, music box, devil's toy box, REM pod, spirit box, obviously, and probably the flashlights. Even though
I like the flashlights.
they're simple and easy. The flashlights are cool. Now, on that topic though, we do have some new gear that we haven't used yet, so we may have some stuff that's gonna be in that list. So actually, I have a couple things right here.
Do you wanna show anything
So
off on cam?
Yeah, I'll just show this. So this, I don't know if anybody's seen this yet. This is the Spirit Talker Lite. So anybody that knows about Spirit Talker, it's an app you run on your phone. Well, this does away with the phone. So no more putting your phone in airplane mode and all that. This is a self-contained unit that you wear on your wrist. So we'll be using that in an upcoming investigation. And then I also just got these nifty little things here. These, everybody's seen like the spirit lights and things like that. Well, the cool thing with these is, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera because of my lighting. Probably
Kind
not.
of, sort of.
But anyway, if something touches it, it changes colors.
There you go. You can see the purple a lot better.
So anytime the screen is tapped, the lightest tap, it'll change colors.
That last one
So,
was red, right?
yeah. So kind of a really cool, really a cool take on a spirit light, because the only way for it to change colors, there's a little screen over the lights right here. That has to be touched. So the idea is you turn these on, set them around in a location. If they change colors, then something touched this screen.
I'm excited to use the new equipment. I mean,
Oh.
that's kind of a constant. It's just anytime there's an investigation, there's probably going to be something new that we're busting out.
We do have a new Spirit Box device. This is a Spirit Box and Portal all-in-one from FCD. Small, compact, easy to use, simple
Much
controls.
more transportable than our old one.
Yes. Oh, but talking about equipment, some of my other favorite pieces. The Stogie Pod from Booze Paranormal.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, what an this guy makes amazing equipment. So Booze Paranormal, if you happen to hear this,
Shouts out.
Yeah, because we've got the Stogie Pod from him. We're beta testing the EMF camera from him, which is awesome. And we also have the spirit detector, which is like the radar that uses the LiDAR cameras. That thing's awesome too. So that, yeah, when it comes to equipment, it's hard for me to narrow it down because we have so much cool equipment.
And see, I think you want to talk about a difficult part of investigating, to double back down on the last one. Sometimes it's paring down what equipment we're actually going to take to a location,
Yeah.
because you and I spent at least like the better part of a day kind of figuring out what was and what was not going to the Queen Mary with us.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then charging it all and packing it.
yeah. Well, and that stems from the fact that I've acquired so much equipment. Once I found out how to get equipment, I just didn't stop. And I'm always looking for the latest and greatest thing. I'm always looking for unique pieces of equipment that you don't see a lot of investigators using. And I'm looking, at people that make equipment that is from a technology standpoint is different than everything else that you see people using. So yeah, we have a ton of equipment.
Well,
And I'm always acquiring more.
it's true. He is. I'll be sitting at home. I might be like playing video games or something, and then I'll get a text out the blue. It'll just be a picture. Look what just showed up at my house, and it's some new equipment that Dad has. The Spirit Chat light was one of the more recent ones. The
Yeah.
little lights. Sometimes he'll call me and he'll be like, "Hey, get on Discord. I want to show you what I got."
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we're coming up on about our time here, just so that we don't run too far over. So I got one more for you.
Okay.
This one's a little bit more open-ended, but I think this is a nice place for us to leave it for this week.
All right.
Where do you see the Paranormal Task Force in a year, maybe 5 years? Just long term, where do you see it?
Well, in a year, hopefully we continue to gain subscribers and grow the channel. In 5 years, I'd like to see us, over 100,000 subs with, our merch store doing good, with, our social media following growing. And, hopefully at that point becoming known in the field, I guess. Not just some YouTube channel, but, being known in the field as, investigators that go out and do this. Cause there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that do this. Some small, some big. Would I like to blow up? Hopefully we can land some collaborations with some of the bigger channels and kind of help give us a little boost. But, regardless, it's something that I have a passion for that I'm going to continue doing. But it would be nice to reach that level where the channel is able to sustain itself from the standpoint of, getting us the locations to investigate and so forth. Where right now, everything's out of pocket. So, hopefully people keep that in mind too when they're watching these videos. Like, these locations, they're not free. Some of them are big money, and some, it's I'm paying for all this because this is something I have a passion for that I want to bring to you guys. So, in 5 years, hopefully the channel is doing well enough that it's covering its own expenses, so to say. and we can continue investigating and hitting some of these locations that are on the bucket list. And who knows, long term, 10 years, whatever, hopefully making appearances at Paracon events. I don't know. We'll see.
That would be super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, that's, they say to dream big, and that's what I'm doing with this channel. Is I see the potential of where it could go. It's just a matter of, you got to put in the work, and you got to, I think, if we're able to do, a few collaborations with some of the more well-known investigators, I think that would really benefit us. And I know that a lot of them have collaborated together and given each other, a boost and things. And hopefully we can get that same kind of love in the community,
I mean, I just want to collab with more people, because the amount of activity we got off of, like, and I mean, paranormal activity explicitly,
Mm-hmm.
like, just having Carly, Tamara, and Tiffany with us on the Queen Mary, like, the level of activity just shot through the roof.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like,
and and the other thing too is, doing collaborations. If you're doing a large location, like, when we go back to do Nevada State Prison, it would be nice to have another team with us. Then one team can go off onto one side of the prison, the other can do the other side, and we can meet in the middle, do some stuff together, or whatever.
easy. It's just so much easier to cover that kind of ground, right? Because
yeah,
we're just
definitely
a team of 3. It's really hard for us to do all of that.
Yeah, and it really is, but yeah, I mean, hopefully, we're going to be working on trying to get some collaborations together. And, like I said, hopefully we can get, that same kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, love, camaraderie, whatever, from some of these people, and, help boost our channel a little bit. And at the same time, make friends in this field, and that's what we're all here to do. you know um so yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I see big picture. I mean, again, it's just a matter, I mean, we're just going to keep pushing and investigating and doing what we do. And I think as long as we do that, eventually there will be that payoff in the end where, now the channel is so big that we're like, oh, we never thought that it would be like this or whatever. So,
Gonna be honest, we're at a point where I'm like, well, I never thought it was gonna be this, but
yeah,
like,
I mean, it's,
I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you in all aspects, but I really like the idea of, you know, I hope that through this we'll be able to become a part of the paranormal community at large, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had mentioned it earlier, but it's sometimes talking about these experiences with people who really don't kind of not even necessarily investigate, but people who are just extremely skeptical of this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they'll sit there and look at you like you're off your rocker, you know?
Yeah.
And like that's fine. I'm not trying to force this on anybody, but it's also something that to me is so cool that not a lot of people get to do, but I do, and I want to share that with people,
Yep.
you know? And I think sharing it with people with a like mindset is a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, we've hit our hour mark. I
Okay.
think this is as good a place for us to call it for the day as
Oh,
anything. I'm sure this is not going to be the last Q&A. I'm sure it's not going to be the last one we do with you. Uh I'm hoping I don't have to do one of these though. I don't want to.
I'm sure your day
I'm
will
gonna
come.
I'm gonna be sitting here going a
I
lot.
mean, and that's the thing is I don't mind answering questions. But there's some things that are just it's hard to answer, like, your most memorable experiences, like which one? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like I was just saying about how I want to share this with people. It's because so many of these experiences are like burned up here. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So yeah, but
All right.
do you have anything you want to say to the people before we sign off here?
Just as usual, thank you guys for supporting the channel, watching the videos, liking the videos, any type of engagement you do, liking, commenting, that helps boost our videos in the algorithm, which puts them in front of more people. Um, and that'll help us grow the community. And that's what we're trying to build as a community. So continue doing that for us. Continue listening to these podcasts. This is new. This is something else that we're bringing to you guys. And we have some other new content that we're working on as well. So just keep supporting the channel. And we really appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you guys.
Well, now I get to do my sign off. I did not prepare anything, so I'm going to keep it really simple. Thank you once again for listening to Task Force Talks, episode 2. I am trying to prove that I was right and podcasts are a good idea. So make sure you come, you like it. We're all over the place now too. Dad was just telling me today that we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're on Amazon, we're on iHeartRadio, I think too, right? Like
Pandora.
if you listen to a podcast somewhere, we're there. So give us some love. And Dad was saying all the above, but more than anything, please enjoy the content. That's I think the most important thing here. And which side of the screen are you? You know what? He's my John. He's my dad, John. It's cut. Okay. He's my dad, John. I'm Troy. We are the Paranormal Task Force, and we will see you guys next week.
See you guys. Does that mean you're going to entertain us? Yep.